everyone. My name is Beth Sedlak, otherwise known as Coach Beth, and I work at Mountain View Elementary and Junior and Senior High as a substitute teacher there. I hope you all enjoyed the nature program about bears, and that's why I am here, because we are going to talk a little bit more, especially about black bears in Northeast PA. So I have questions, might have some answers, and hopefully if you guys have any questions, I'll take care of those too. Thanks. So, does anybody have any questions?
I guess I have a question. Where do bears live and, what do they, eat?
Okay, so bears live in the woods, right? And bears can live in what's called dens, or they can find little spots that they kind of burrow into in the wintertime. They're usually there from about November until late April. And if you're a mama bear, and if you're older than 2 years old, then you're gonna start to have little baby bears. So the baby bears will be born, and then they start to come out in April. And what happens when you wake up in the morning, even after you've had dinner the night before? You're hungry, right? So these guys are gonna be ravenous. Ravenous means they're gonna be really, really hungry. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna start looking around in the ground. They're gonna start foraging. They like to eat nuts, fruits, berries, grubs, insects, any kind of thing that they can find out on the ground. Sometimes, the one thing though that they love the most is what? Honey, right? Bears love honey. And you know what they do? They'll go and kind of dig into the trees to get the honey out of the tree. Can you imagine? So that means what? Their claws are super duper sharp. So they are incredibly skilled at finding the honey, getting it, and eating it as much as they can. Because when they start out, cubs are less than a pound a piece when they're born. But by the time they get out of the den, they're 10 pounds. And then they just keep putting weight on and weight on and weight on, so that eventually they get to be huge bears. That's a lot of food. They eat a lot of food. A cub will eat about 8 pounds of food a day. So if you go in your house and find something that weighs 8 pounds, imagine putting all that in your belly in one day and then keep putting it back in. That's a lot of food. So bears, female bears will eat about 15 pounds of food a day, and they need more food, especially to help take care of their cubs. So that's what they do. That's where they live, and that's kind of the few things that they start to eat. If you're looking through your woods and trying to find something to eat, it might be tough to find all the good stuff that you like. All those good berries and nuts and honey and sweet, sweet stuff. So sometimes bears find easy things to eat, like our garbage. So it looks like in the woods here, there's a little bit left over from last year, where a bear dragged a bag out here and decided to see what kind of a quick little dinner he could get for himself. But one of the things that you have to remember about bears is that once they find a spot where they can get easy food, they're going to keep coming back. So it's really important to make sure that we keep all of our garbage cans inside. And if a bear does go through your stuff, you have to remember to move it to a different spot, because they're smart and they'll remember where this stuff is, and they'll keep coming back to the same spot over and over and over. So remember when it was easy and quick and we used to run through drive-thrus and get what we needed fast? Milkshakes, cheeseburgers, nuggets, and all that other good stuff. Well, bears aren't too dissimilar from us, because they like to get that quick fix and a lot of it as fast as they can. Remember, they don't have a lot of time to eat. They pretty much have to get started once the sun goes down until it gets up the next morning. So what are they going to do? They're going to look for the quick foods like birdseed. There's some now. Not bears, birds. But the one thing that you have to do is you can still enjoy feeding your birds during the day. You just have to take the feeders in at night, because if a bear finds your bird feeder, he's going to keep coming back, and they're going to keep looking for more and more birdseed. And they're going to ruin your feeders. Sometimes I've had birds get into my bird feeders and they've absolutely destroyed them. I mean, ripped them apart, even when they were on really tall trees. So it's really important. You can take care of the birds and feed them as much as you want, but just make sure you take all the food inside that you think a bear is going to like. Remember, a bear has really incredible sense of smell. So even from far away, it can get a scent of anything that's quick and easy and delicious. And birdseed's delicious. Don't take it personally. I don't know. But bears seem to like it. I know they like mine. So a female bear, an adult female bear, when it's during the season, when they're awake and they're looking for something to eat, will walk anywhere between 3 to 5 miles a day. That's a lot, right? But a male bear during the season will walk anywhere almost up to 15 miles a day. So you guys, most of you have tracks at school, right? You do a loop around. Well, think about this. One loop around that track is a quarter of a mile usually. So 0.25. How many quarters make up one whole? Give you a couple seconds. 4, right? So you have to walk around 4 times to make it 1 mile. Now, think about it. You're going to walk 15 miles. How many times do you have to walk around that track? I'll give you a second again. 15 times 4. 60 times. You have to walk 60 times around that track to make up 15 miles. Now, think about it. You're a bear. You have to walk on 4 paws, and you're hungry, and you're looking for something to eat, and you're trying to avoid people, and what else? It's tough out there, right? To be a bear. Walking all that way, and hopefully you can find enough to eat. Remember, they need to eat a lot because they've got to sleep for most of the winter.
I guess I'd like to know if do bears really hibernate?
So like most people, I thought bears hibernated, right? They got themselves a nice den. It's nice and cozy. It's warm. Their bellies are full. About the end of November, they kind of tuck themselves in there and take a long winter's nap. Wait for the snowflakes to fly and wake up when it gets warm again in the spring. But that's not necessarily the case. They actually have a tendency to kind of just be almost asleep for the whole winter. So even on warm days sometimes, bears might get up and look for something else to eat. It's called torpor, Torpor. It's something I'd never heard of before. What is it? Let's ask the experts. Alexa, what's the definition of torpor?
Torpor is usually defined as sluggish inactivity or inertia. For more, ask me to give you more definitions for torpor.
Well, Alexa, what does torpor mean when it comes to hibernating in bears?
Here's something I found on the web. According to biologists.org, torpor is the state of metabolic suppression resulting in extreme hypothermia, respiratory depression, and low blood pressure in hibernating animals.
Thanks, Alexa. Normally she says you're welcome, but that's what torpor is. So when a bear hibernates or goes into that torpor state that we just talked about, their blood pressure is going to get really low and their heart rate's going to get really low. So to anybody else, they're going to think that they're really sound asleep. You think about it, you think about if your heart's not beating really fast and you're not doing a lot of activity, you're going to breathe a lot slower. You're going to move a lot slower. You're not going to really look like you're awake. So it's a neat way for bears to kind of just burn very few calories and use all the excess fat that they've put on during the season, eating all the stuff that they've been eating and looking for during the summertime. Think about this. bears could lose up to 30% of their body weight by the time they start their hibernation and end it. So let's think about this. If you're 150 pounds and you lose 30% of your body weight, do you know how much weight that is? Get a calculator. It's 45 pounds. So if you're 150 pounds and you wake up 45 pounds later, you're going to be 105 pounds. That's a lot of weight to lose. That's why the minute you get up, you got to eat. Most bears, and especially in Northeast Pennsylvania, are black bears. And they're not all black. They usually have a V at their chest and kind of a patch of white there. But they don't always have to be black. They could be brown. They could be like a cinnamon kind of color. And some of them can be even lighter, like a little blonde. But the one thing that you have to know about bears is they really don't want to be around people that much. So make sure that you keep your distance and they'll keep theirs. So you want to hear something really cool that I found out about moms and cubs? So if a mama bear thinks that the cubs might be in trouble or that somebody's kind of getting too close and she's worried about them, because they're so little, she's got to find something for them to do, right? Place to hide? Well, because their claws are so sharp, even when they're so little, you know what she does? She chucks them up a tree. She makes them climb up one of these trees until they get out of harm's way. Isn't that awesome? Bears are so cool. So, Mama's got the baby bears, but what are the dad bears doing? Well, they're on their own. They're walking around most of the time by themselves, looking for things to eat, and maybe looking for other bears so that they can make more cubs with those bears. But, as I said, they walk up to 15 miles a day. But usually they stay within the same 15-mile territory so that they can kind of get to know maybe the other bears in the area. But sometimes what they'll do is they'll mark the trees with their claws. It's unbelievable. So I don't think I see any bear scratches on my trees around here, but I know what I'm going to keep an eye out for now. If I see any big ones, I'm not going near there.
How fast can a bear run?
That's a great question, Vivian. So before I started doing any research on bears, I never knew how fast they were. But did you know that some bears can run up to 35 miles an hour? 35 miles an hour! So I'm in my car right now, and I'm just driving along, and right now, my car's telling me I'm going about 17 miles an hour. So most of us think we can probably ride our bikes, even maybe run this fast, right? So what if I bump up the speed a little bit? So now let's see. I'm gonna go 20 miles an hour, a little bit more. 25, 30, 35 miles an hour. This is how fast a bear could run. That's insane. I never knew they were this fast. Did you? Amazing. Okay, so an adult black bear, when it's on all fours, they say is about 3 feet high off the ground. So I've got my tape measure, and I'm gonna measure 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 feet. All right, so if I do 3 feet from the ground to me, already, look how big that thing is. It's almost half the size as me. Well, it is half the size of me, plus a little bit more. Now, if this bear were to stand on its back 2 legs, paws, it can be anywhere from 5 feet to 7 feet tall. So let's see how big that is. There's 4. All right, here's 5. I'm running out of arms width. There, okay. Now, let's go to 6. Holy cow. Now, 7. Oh boy. 7 feet tall. Hello, bear.
What do I do if I meet a bear?
Thanks, Lily. That's another great question. And it's a question that I think a lot of us worry about are bear attacks. But truth be told, that there are very few black bear attacks. But there are steps that you can take to make sure that you're safe and that the bear runs off. So, according to the Pennsylvania Game Commission, one of the first steps that you take is to alert the bear. Make some noise, get really loud, like, ah, get out of here, bear. And then hopefully the bear runs off and everybody's safe. Okay, so we've alerted the bear, we've made our noise, we've stood up, we're waving our arms, and the bear still hasn't run off. So now what are we going to do? Well, now they tell us that we need to just slowly back away, but never turn your back on the bear. You always want to make sure that you always have a visual of the bear and that he can see you backing up and you can see him, so that it gives the bear another chance to run away. If that doesn't work, you need to try to stay calm. You need to try to make sure that you can kind of see what's going on with the bear. If you move away slowly and try to talk to the bear, let the bear keep track of your retreat. Don't turn and run, and especially don't try to do anything like a bear would do. Don't run up a tree. Remember what happens. When a mama bear feels threatened, what do we say happens? She puts the cubs up the tree, right? So what if you're looking face to face with a mama bear and you start to climb the tree? She might think that you're after her cubs. So you really don't want to do anything that will mimic the bear's behavior, because they might think then that you are a threat and go after you. So, and most of the time, we don't have the skills that a bear has to climb a tree. I know my nails are barely long enough to open anything around here. So climbing a tree is completely out of the question. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to just pay attention. Bears will give off warning signs if they do, in fact, feel threatened. And one of the things that the Game Commission tells you is that they will start to kind of make this noise with their jaw. They'll just start to kind of chomp a little bit, gnash, and they'll think that that's, a big sign of aggression. So you want to try to do everything that you can to make yourself look bigger than the bear. So you want to say stand upright, and then maybe let the bear get another smell, detect what he is thinking might be a threat. And once he realizes again, hey, it's just a human, they're really not going to bother me, then the bear will run off. But the idea is that you want to try to intimidate the bear into retreating. You don't want to get this bear to move closer to you. So again, try to be as less threatening to the bear as you can, but give the bear the option to run away. Now, if the bear has decided that it's not going to run away and it keeps coming in closer and closer, which is extremely rare. Black bear attacks are very, very, very rare, but the Game Commission does say that if you have something like a backpack or a stick or some rocks nearby, then that's what you can use to defend yourself. But again, really shouldn't have to get to that point, because most bears don't want to be around humans. And the things that we need to do is make sure that we keep this safe for the bears. I know that when bears have been around my house, it's because I made the mistake of leaving my bird feeders out the night, overnight. So a bear smells that bird seed, it gets a quick, easy fix for dinner, and there they are. So when I've been awake and hear them and see them, and I yell out my window, most of the time that's the bears run off. Then if they don't run off when I yell, most of the time they'll run off when the dogs start to bark. But if they don't and they stick around and it's a good, delicious midnight snack that they've got in their paws, they'll eat it, and then guess who cleans up the mess the next day? Me. Because it's my fault. I left the stuff out. I wasn't thinking. I didn't put my things away, and the bears found it. So remember what happens then. If the bears find your food, I can't put those bird feeders back in the same spot the next day. because they will come back around and they'll keep looking for that bird seed in the same place every single day. So we have a responsibility to the bears to make sure that they stay safe. Thanks everybody for joining me today and learning more about bears. I know I sure learned a lot that I never knew about before. I loved learning about bears from the start when they were teeny tiny cubs born in a den in the middle of winter, usually around January. They're less than a pound. Again, find something that weighs a pound in your house, and that's how big those bears start out. And then as they gradually get older, how sharp their claws are, that their mom can feel safe by putting them up in a tree, and they can climb super fast to get out of there in case anybody's trying to hurt them or another predator is around. I also think it's amazing how fast a bear can run. 35 miles an hour? That's crazy. I mean, next time you're in the car with somebody, sit in the car and imagine a bear running alongside of you at 35 miles an hour. That will blow your mind. And the other thing is, make sure that you keep your house safe for bears and for you. Make sure that you take your garbage in at nights, especially during the spring and the summer. Make sure that if you have bird feeders outside, you bring those in, because the bears can smell food from miles away, and they also have the most incredible hearing. The one thing I learned about cubs, their ears get to be full size before they do, and that's why their hearing is so good. And that's why they're so cute too. So just remember, during this time, take the opportunity to go outside, explore your yard, explore nature, take a notebook out there, write things down. If something looks neat, unusual, new to you, make a note of it, and then you be your own explorer. You check it out, and maybe then you can show me something one day, which I'm sure you will be able to do that. Just keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, and sometimes just sit down and listen. Listen to the birds, listen to all the squirrels in the woods, listen to the chipmunks going back and forth, woodpeckers in the trees. It's amazing. But more importantly, just listen to each other. Be good, be kind, and if you're ever worried or scared, grab your faithful teddy bear and give him a squeeze. I hope everybody stays safe, and I hope you have a great week. Take care. Bye.